Welcome to an extensive tour and first driving impressions of the new Porsche Taycan. This extensive update, which will count here for the normal sedan, for the Cross Turismo and the Sport Turismo. The Sport Turismo is the normal estate, the Cross Turismo is crossover estate, and of course the very base Taycan, so to speak, different versions. This is indeed a base Taycan. This is here a 4S. This is a turbo, and we'll also have the Turbo S for you. Everything you need to know about the updated Taycan. Here was Thomas Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go. First of all, updated battery, updated range and efficiency, updated power, more power than before. So everything has been enhanced even further. And just visually, we can see some updated things in the lower part, so different graphic in the lower part, updated headlamps, matrix LED is now standard. Optional, you get HD matrix LED, the ones we can see right here. The HD matrix LED has an even more elaborate high beam function where you can individualize the single parts, and you can also have some projections on the ground. So the look from the exterior, a little bit sleeker. This is here the so-called shade green color. If you look from distance, like, what is this green? But if you look a little bit closer and also from the side profile, then you can indeed see that it is some green nuances. Here the Sport Turismo, this is the so-called new color Provence, also a very interesting one. We've recently seen it also with the all-new Porsche Macan electric. And then we have here the Turbo Cross Turismo in oak green. Yeah, more, I would say, like a British racing green style or something. What do you think about that? Well, as for the side profiles, we have to say they also give some new wheels and also with some efficiency upgrades. These ones here are, for example, 21-inch wheels. They're taken from the Porsche Mission E, the concept car that was preceding the Taycan. Then we have here with our sedan. Yeah, Leah can also go to this side, very well thought. This is here 20-inch, so size smaller, with some aerodynamic inserts. The base wheel would be 19-inch actually, but this one here is so optimized that you don't have any, losses in the efficiency and so on. Here the typical sedan form with its really strong hip area. They also all come with upgraded standard equipment like electric tailgate, electric side mirrors and so on, and all come standard now with adaptive air suspension, which is also completely new. And optional, you can get the Porsche Active Ride. That is then an additional hydraulic system for the air suspension. Comes standard for the Turbo S. For all others, it's an option, and that kind of like counteracts with the movements of the vehicle. That means when you accelerate, the vehicle goes like this, it goes up behind, also in the rear, that it stays upright. If you brake and the car would lean like this, it counteracts like this. And also if you go for side movements, like you would go into a left corner, the vehicle would lean like this, then the suspension works against it. So the car always stays leveled, and Porsche even introduced a system here that it kind of like overcompensates, leans into the corner. We've seen it with Mercedes, for example, with this suspension technology. And in our first test ride along, we can also test it for the very first time. This is this special PR tactic by the manufacturers that, that at the first sight you can maybe take passenger rides before you're allowed to drive yourself. That's the reason behind it. And you've already seen very initially the first launch control we've shown to you. Visually, I have to say, I always prefer the sedan styling, but some also prefer the estate styling. And here the Cross Turismo, you can see, has these crossover wheel arches, has some more off-road capabilities, a little bit higher, but this is also, I think, more a design thing. Since this is here also a turbo, of course, if you go for, like base version, which have rear-wheel drive only, 4S, all-wheel drive, 2 electric motors, turbo, of course, with all-wheel drive, and the Turbo S. It's not related to sedan, Sport Turismo, Cross Turismo. You can freely pick that, actually. And here you can see these are these matte silver accentuations. You can already see them here in the wheels, and this is called Turbonite. It is a this differentiation for the turbo models, which is very, very interesting. What we also see is an update, if you follow me here to the rear. So now you can also get this illuminated Porsche logo here. You can see this red illumination. That looks really striking, doesn't it? So pretty cool. And also here this light strip up above, so new rear lamps as well, also new rear lower graphic, and you can see once again here for the turbo model these Turbonite accentuations in the lower part. It's a very cool matte look. We can directly compare that if you follow me here to the base model. So this would come with rear-wheel drive only, this base model, but it also has then the greatest overall range of them all. And there we can see doesn't have the Turbonite accentuation, but more like a matte black. But I think it's really cool. It has like this technology look with these fins here all the way horizontal. And here you can see how it looks like when this logo is not illuminated. So this option for the illuminated Porsche logo in the rear is a really striking one, right? But I think that the most, or the coolest thing to me with the Taycan is that it really has a very sleek and elegant look. So especially here the base model is really cool. I think I'm more always for an understatement style, so it doesn't have to be too aggressive, and that's why I think a base model fits the Taycan already very, very well. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. Turning indicators in the front is pretty cool here in this 4-dot styling as well. And in the rear, really wide and visible underneath this strip. Yeah, everyone can see that, can't you? So you remember I told you this new optional hydraulic system, the Porsche Active Ride. It's working with these hydraulic pumps actually for each individual wheel, for the driving dynamics and so on. And it's even making the car quicker, even lap time wise. We go more in depth on our driving part later on. But there's another function that's actually pretty impressive, pretty cool, and has never been that quick. And that is the entry help. Look at that. When I open the door, there we go. And the car goes up. So you can easier get in, and then it goes down again when you close the door and you start driving. You just so soon see, there we go. There it drops again. And this only goes that quickly because it is really, one more time. There we go. Only works that quickly because it is actually a hydraulic system. So, there are other cars that make that over the air suspension only, or for example, maybe like for loading in and out things in the trunk. But that takes some time when you do that with air suspension only. Here with these individual hydraulic pumps, you can really do it that quickly, and that is very impressive. Here the turbo in the front, once again with these Turbonite color lower accentuations. But I think, as we've seen with the base model in front, both work very well design-wise. Now, big update for the battery. Here the GTS, which will come at a later stage. The Turbo and the Turbo S come standard with the Performance Battery Plus, that's the bigger battery. This one is larger now at 97 kilowatt hours net. So this will be the top spec battery. And if we go for a standard Taycan, we can start with the smaller battery, which is now even bigger as well, 84 kilowatt hours net. And then you can optionally go for the bigger battery. So, if you compare the predecessor, then there the big battery is now basically the same size as now the small battery, and the big battery now is even larger. And this gives us new possible range figures. So before it was, depending on the battery and depending on the driving style, always something between 300 to 400 kilometers, or maybe like some 200, 250 miles. Now, also once again, I would rather think in the big battery style, because most customers will go for the big battery. We can really score some realistic figures between 400 and 500 kilometers and, like 250 and 300 miles real world range. 4S here from the front, and also this Provence color. To me, I don't like it that much, but Leah likes this one really much. And here we now have the pinnacle of the lineup, the Porsche Taycan Turbo S. Here with an optional carbon fiber package, so we have more carbon fiber accentuations, for example, there in the lower part, or also at the side mirrors. This vehicle here equipped also with 20-inch wheels, the biggest ones available, and once again with these aerodynamic inserts for even more efficiency. Upgrade for the power here, the Taycan Turbo S is now even quicker, 0.4 seconds quicker than before, now at 2.4 seconds. to 1 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour. But even the base model, the rear drive only model, is even quicker now at 4.8 seconds. And that's even 0.6 seconds quicker than before the facelift. And the Turbo S here in the rear, once again, strong styling but clean, and some carbon fiber accentuations here in the lower part. The Turbo S basically has all the possible options for the other ones already included. Also the rear axle steering up to 2.8 degrees in the opposite direction than the front wheels. Optional, once again, for the other models, standard for the Turbo S. And now about recharging, especially quick charging. First of all, AC power is 11 kilowatt. Later there will also be a 22 kilowatt offering. DC charging, you've seen here when I slide below there, then you can open the charging flap and we're at the fast charging station. It was quick before already with this 800 volt technology, but they have even more improved this whole charging process now. So the top DC peak now is 320 kilowatt. And when you think about this optimum charging window, between 5 and 65%, we can charge with around 300 kilowatt of power. That is for super impressive. So that means from 10 to 80% state of charge, we'll have a charging time that is under 18 minutes. Overall, that is almost doubled in the charging speed, because you have to think about that before the battery was a little bit smaller. Now the Performance Battery Plus is larger, but still so low in the overall charging time. Quicker would only be recharging with recuperation. That is 400 kilowatt peak actually. So also the recuperation power is really, really strong. They also worked on the heat pump management and the overall efficiency of the whole heat management. This will also give you some efficiency gains. And now we'll check it out, that we can have also a visual proof of this charging power and also how long it really keeps this charging power. And here we can already see we're here at 33%, and that one really quick. We drove the car before. Here we are at the moment at 314, 316 kilowatt. And yeah, that is almost without any other example in the industry. Now we're also sometimes reaching the 320 peak. 321. That's great. I don't have to wait inside. It's really cold outside here. And here there's the residual heat from the charging process coming out here. So I can warm my hands then here. And here now we have loaded 20 kilowatt hours in about 4 minutes. Super impressive. Just over 7 minutes and put 37 kilowatt hour in that vehicle. So here now at 66%, still holding just under 300 kilowatts, so still very quick. Here at 74%, still over 200. Now we've dropped under 200, but still, you know, that is impressive. And what I have also optimized is that this quick charging, this optimum quick charging, also works in a wider temperature window for the battery. This is the key fob here, really elegant and slim. And then for these doors, you either have the soft close, is of course an option. There we go. But I also like to try the door closing sounds, and here even more interesting because it is frameless door, by the way, with dual insulation. Let's listen to that. Wow, and that is really rare that a car with frameless doors has a good door closing sound. Yeah, that's beautiful. And then inside of the doors, here really slick, wrapped tightly as we know it from Porsche. Here the integration also of the door handle, for example. And this is then also the new leather-free interior. Then you have race text or microfiber steering wheel. Also race text accentuation at the inside of the seats, also here at the inside of the pillar at the door. And the middle part is this classic retro sports styling by Porsche with this houndstooth structure. So it's fabric on the inside right there. It's also more breathable in summertime. I heard that it also has a slight wool share. I'm not sure why is that, but you don't feel it that much. But the definite advantage is that, you know, besides the more animal-friendly aspect, this is also way more comfortable. So the suspension is really great, I can tell you, but the comfort of the seats is sometimes not ideal. That's also one of the main reasons why at Porsche they mainly sell Macans and Cayennes these days, and rather less sports cars in comparison. But here the fabric seats are way more comfortable than the animal skin seats because the surface is not that strong, not that hard. It adapts better to the body, so I can only recommend that. It's also available here for all versions. Then headroom, here to the panoramic roofs, quite wide, but here to the side, there's still some space left with 189 or 6'2", so it is also suitable for tall adults. Actually, that works. Steering wheel, electric control, up and down, in and out. There we go. And what's also special, of course, always with the Porsche, you can have this drive selector directly at the steering wheel. That's really practical thing to do. This panoramic roof here, by the way, is also, depending on the version, if you have it, available with an electrochromatic shade. And if you have this electrochromatic roof, you can slide, for example, here in the screen. You can even see the reflection already in the screen. Wow, that looks really impressive. So Leah just discovered a feature for us. Yes, she also has this view for details now. Here, look at that. It's like fabric on the inside of the door. Very important to me, of course. Interior cockpit overview with the typical Taycan setup. Here, the digital instruments in a curved way. Yes, some parts are still blocked by the steering wheel infotainment system. And here, this is the passenger screen. I cannot see that. For me, it is black. But for you, you can already see that there is something on the passenger screen. Sports chrono package, and you also have the analog clock, and the climate unit here is #capacitive BS still. Yes, it's a separate screen. Then you also have some hotkeys here on the direct screen below. And Apple CarPlay news here, when you have set it up in your Porsche app, then you can unlock the Apple CarPlay Plus. That's how Porsche is calling it. And then we can see an extensive use. This is here the normal CarPlay view. And then if you press the Porsche logo here or here, you're not going back actually to the normal Porsche menu, but come to this Apple CarPlay Plus view, where you can actually control car functions like the AC unit inside Apple CarPlay. And you have these widgets here. They are also customizable. Here, for example, I can also switch the ambient lighting of the vehicle here inside the display. Here, for example, the climate modes. This is a cool down function or a warm up function, but this only works like in big temperature steps, so to speak. However, here in this My Climate function, there you can have individual settings. You save the current settings, and then you have these two presets which you can easily select. Further here, I have information here like the weather here for the air quality index and so on. Whatever you want here. This is a special coffee app. It always tells you where is the next coffee stop, for example. Well, this is here for scenic views. That is pretty cool when you're traveling somewhere. Further here, for example, some figures, like driving statistics and so on. Or more here, once again, weather app or for the music and so on. You can also control the radio stations then. So this is the next step, the first manufacturer to offer that. Here also charging stations. And in that way you can stay in this whole Apple universe without going back to the Porsche menu. You can still do that. You go here then on the top left, then you're back to the normal Porsche world basically. But here now, this is the first time we see this kind of extended CarPlay. And with the next update, you will also have some arrows from the CarPlay navigation right here. In the middle console, adaptive cup holders, also with illumination. Just that here, this case then underneath the armrest is so small then, so yeah, I would rather not put my smartphone in there, not for the inductive charging. There are also the charging, ports here and so on, but I would probably just put my smartphone here then. Rear seating for tall adults, it works when I'm also driving in the front directly with the legroom. And headroom, this is here the sedan, so it gets quite close here when I really put my spine up. This is then better in the Sport Turismo or Cross Turismo, where I have a little bit more headroom in the rear. Here, direct comparison for the Estate. When I put my spine up, I still have some headroom left over my head. Let's check out the trunk or the boot. Here we can see this small button in the lower part. This one here being the normal sedan styling with this smaller opening. And you can see the length here is a good meter or 40 inches. The width here between the wheel arches is more like 90 centimeters or 35 inches, just wider, in the back part. But this is the crucial difference then here for the sedan, 45 centimeters or 18 inches in height. Now to the Sport Turismo or Cross Turismo. I put this shelf here out before so I can quicker measure everything. So in length here is not a difference, like again the meter or 40 inches. The width here is also the same, but this is then now the big difference here. This is then a height of 65 centimeters or 25 inches, so 20 centimeters plus in height in this area. This is of course better to work with. So as you can see, you cannot fold the seats from here, you have to go around. And then of course here even the Sport Turismo or Cross Turismo is just easier to load things in and out, especially in here for the full setup. Porsche had Frunks before Frunks were actually a thing with electric vehicles because of their rear engine motor concepts. And also, for example, the Taycan of course also has this classic Porsche Frunk. Alright guys, first test ride here in the new Taycan Turbo. We have Thilo next to us. He's integration manager at Porsche. I'm going to ask him soon what that means, but here, German Autobahn. Oh, let's go! The Lia meter is on board as well. 150, 160. And that's 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour, even more, 220 that was. Yeah, this thing goes like a rocket. And now even more, here the to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour is always less than 3 seconds here for the Taycan Turbo, even more powerful than before. Whew. And of course we have the new chassis settings. But first of all, Thilo, can you talk to us, like, what is your job at Porsche, like integration manager? What does it mean?
It means I'm responsible for the integration of all the different ECUs into the whole vehicle, pretty much.
ECU is electronic control unit.
Exactly.
So that means like how all the electric system of the cars work together with the hardware.
Exactly, yeah. Like hard software working together, and this on the whole vehicle level. Yeah.
So the chassis thing is also something that you're really integrate with.
Yeah, as a part of the whole vehicle, of course it is. Yes.
Yeah. So at this moment we are in the sport mode.
Yes.
But the chassis is still normal because you set that individually like that.
Exactly.
Like that?
Yeah.
So that's new, that you can individualize your sport and sport plus sport.
Yeah, you can preset your favorites, and then you can save it as you wish, and it will be always until you change it otherwise.
Okay.
So, but what I can tell you definitely is, for example, you hit the push to pass button. It doesn't matter in which driving mode you do that.
That's a difference.
You have 70 kilowatt power on top as well.
That's so like
in every drive mode,
more than like 100 horsepower plus.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So that's this button. We know it from combustion engine vehicles.
Exactly.
Where you have like more power for a couple. Here's also 10 seconds, or
it's 10 seconds.
10 seconds. Yeah.
Yes.
That works. Yeah. My stomach already tells me that it works very well.
So also in range mode, if you drive smoothly and it's not that responsive on the gas pedal, as soon as you hit the push to pass button, you got the response.
Yeah, and that's right also a way to really get your passengers sick.
Sorry. Sorry for that.
Yeah, that's obviously the thing. I mean, especially as a driver, it's really a lot of fun. But for the passengers, the extreme reaction from the electric vehicles when you have so much power can have a lot of stress on the passengers. But you also have something that actually puts like relieves stress from the passengers. That's suspension technology.
Exactly.
You, I mean, this new system here, it kind of rules against the G-forces, so the car always stays upright.
Right.
When we accelerate, it would be more like this, stays upright. When we brake, it also leans in the opposite direction, and also left, right.
Exactly.
But this is kind of like this overcompensating function, right?
Right. So you have two modes. If you have it in standard, it just compensates the natural movement of the car. And if you activate the comfort functionality, it overcompensates to reduce the stress on the body.
Can you maybe do like a lane change and?
Yeah, of course.
Wow. Yeah, that's really like. I'm not sure if you could see that on camera, but it was really like leaning a little bit to the corner.
Yeah, also while braking.
Wow.
And accelerating.
Interesting.
You can feel it, yes.
Yeah, it's really that you feel less G-force by that. Of course, the G-force physically are not, diminished, but it puts actually less stress on the passenger or passenger in the rear as well. We know it from the Mercedes GLE, GLS, where you had this active mode, or from an S-Class Coupe. There it was even more extreme, maybe in such an extreme way that it was almost starting to be annoying a little bit. Here you do see and feel it, but it's not in an extreme way that you would think, hey, I'm driving a motorcycle. It's just a little bit. But what I found interesting is that when you set the suspension to sport mode,
yes,
then these ones actually go away. They're deactivated. So this is not a sporty feature, but just a comfort feature.
Yeah.
Why is that?
The most sportiness setting is if the car stays flat, like fully flat, and that is where we reach the maximum corner speed. So that's what what's the preset in the sport mode. And we concentrate on comfort, on those functionalities. So that's why you can use it only in the normal suspension mode.
That's interesting. Like, why do you have less corner speed with an overcompensating feature?
Well,
because you would think like, hey, that's maybe also good because of the weight, but why is it actually worse?
Well, I can't tell exactly. You have to ask the engineer who did that, but I'm pretty sure if he decided to do that, so it was a good decision.
So that was really, whoa. So that was like 80 to 160 kilometers an hour, like instant.
About that, yeah.
Yeah, I think Leah in the back there is like, I mean, I'm glad she's still laughing. I mean, she really loves fast vehicles.
I'm glad to.
Is it okay in the rear there? Or?
Yeah, it's cozy.
It's okay?
I like it.
Perfect.
That's nice.
Cozy is a word for
Because I'm a very bad passenger in sports cars. You know, I never take like taxi laps on the racetrack. I found it really interesting. I mean, the race drivers are so impressive, but I was also on board with some like world rally champions on the co-driver seat, and I was like, it's really impressive to see and experience, but also gets really on your stomach. So I really prefer to drive that myself. Actually,
I understand that,
But you're driving very well, so yeah.
Thank you.
So very interesting. I mean, so they did actually some test laps and really compared the lap times for that. Actually,
I'm pretty sure they did. Yeah, I can't tell exactly. I didn't join them to do so, but. I'm pretty sure they did.
And this new suspension technology actually really helps in the lap times. You know, there was a new record lap on the Nürburgring Nordschleife, where it was like 20 or even 30 seconds better than the previous.
I don't have the exact values, but it was really good.
Impressive. So it's not only that it feels better, it is actually really better lap time wise. You know, that's really cool.
And at the same time, I have to add something. It still gives you a really good comfort as well. So if we hit bad roads afterwards on our trip, you will feel it, and you see the bad roads and feel the really good comfort as well, combined with this new sportiness.
So that is actually really the goal here of this facelift with the new suspension, that it's both more comfortable and sportier at the same time.
Exactly.
And, I can just confirm that it works very well. You know, so also like when we were driving over some bumps and so on. I mean, you always have like really large wheels here usually on the Taycan, especially on the test vehicles where they also want to show off, hey, we have big cool wheels. And it's really comfortable suspension-wise as well. That's actually pretty cool. You know, seating-wise, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of the seats of the Taycan, honestly. But here, the suspension is doing a great job, actually. And now tune in to our new Porsche Macan electric review.